Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this new Shabazz Palaces, The Dawn of Diamond Dreams. Shabazz Palaces are a experimental hip-hop duo featuring the legendary Ishmael Butler as well as Tendai Mairare, and quite literally they blew up onto the experimental hip-hop scene in 2011 with the massive success of their debut album Black Up. It was one of the wildest and most genuinely out there hip-hop albums of the year. Rhymes were thought-provoking, the beats were shape-shifting, the jazzy production, the otherworldly rhythms, this was all very infectious and very wild and new at the time. All the while, Ishmael's sort of old-school throwback hip-hop tendencies kept it grounded and kept it easy to listen to. It actually made it come off like some truly twisted alter ego of modern hip-hop, and that's exactly where I wanted to hear them. But since then, I'm not really sure what's happened with Shabazz Palaces. Their follow-up, Les Majesty, actually had a lot of the same characteristics and had some really great tracks, like Ishmael and Dawn and Luxor. But I don't know, man, there were a lot of instrumentals and interludes here that just kind of went nowhere. The lack of focus was kind of in your face, and overall it just wasn't nearly as captivating. And 2017 was a truly perplexing year for Shabazz Palaces. They decided to put out 2 albums on the same day. Quasar's Born on a Gangster Star was obviously the better of the 2, but it was still muffled with ideas that went nowhere. And Quasar's verse Jealous Machines was shockingly bad. As a matter of fact, it ended up being like one of my most negatively reviewed albums of the year. So their new singles that they've been dropping up to this album, they're not nearly as impressive as they once were, but I will say this, instantly I can remember a whole lot more about these than anything on their last 2 albums. Let's chat about this new one. Right off the bat with tracks like Adventures, honestly I think they sound more focused than they have in years. This to me is actually pretty exciting. I love the scuzzy, buzzing, bulky beat. It's not easy to follow at all. As a matter of fact, it's constantly shifting, and the rhymes here are not easy to dive into. That being said, these are all things that I could say about their debut album Black Up. It also has this strong mystic sound to it. I love some of the backing keys as well. This just doesn't sound like anything I've been listening to lately. These are all honestly huge pluses. As a matter of fact, like I said, I think it's some of the more focused material they've released since Black Up. Fast Learner featuring Purple Tape Nate is obviously the noisiest thing they've done in a while. There's practically an industrial vibe here, and I don't completely hate that. And you know what? I'll be honest, this track took a while to get used to. It's very laid back, and it's also super hazy, but it's very otherworldly, very whimsical. I love the, once again, very mystical vibes, and I love the odd humming that we get on this track. Not to mention, the keys continue to be really great. They end up sounding like some weird underwater level from Super Mario 64. I will take this over any of the material on that double Quasar's album that they put out 2 years ago. With tracks like Wet, honestly, I still really like this, even though we still haven't really reached that level that we were at many years ago. It's still very odd, very quirky, very left field. I love the vocal effects and the continued otherworldly feel. I mean, it's not exactly a banger, it's one that you kind of sit with, let it grow on you. I mean, it may seem simple, but I would certainly take this over what they've been doing. Not to mention the ultra funky breakdowns to the end, hell yeah. And Chocolate Souffle might be the best track here. I love the oddball groove and the really experimental nature of this track. But at the same time, this is also kind of the most standard hip-hop track here. But the layers of the vocals, the tons of effects, the hard-to-place lyrics, this is all great. And the amount of focus here compared to where they've been the last couple of years is, to me, really refreshing. You know, I got my hopes up. I really did. I could really use an oddball, weird, experimental hip-hop album right now. Boy, oh boy, the rest of this album is puzzling. I would swear that somebody put these interludes on this album just to throw me off, just to get me agitated. Portal North, Panthera adds nothing. Portal South, Micah, honestly just does nothing but break up the flow of the album. Bad Bitch Walking, oh my lord, this is awful. Like, when this album is bad, like, it nosedives. The opening vocal snippet that only takes up a minute here, I honestly felt like it took up 3 minutes. The beat here isn't that bad, but everything else about this track is absolutely pathetic. I don't know what happened to how focused the rhymes were sounding on the rest of this album. This sounds light years away. Even the performances here, Shabazz Palaces, sound bored. I can't blame them either. This is absolute garbage. Money Yoga featuring Darius isn't that bad. As a matter of fact, it's grown on me a little bit. I do like the bulkier beat here. Once again, it's a little bit more standard sounding. It's sleek, it's spacey, definitely keeps my interest. But I just wish this was written better and was as focused as the first half of this album. And with Thanking the Girls, good Lord, we have lost our way. This is so unbearably drawn out. It's not even cool or mystical anymore. This is just half-baked. Quite possibly one of the worst tracks I've heard all year. And Reg Walks by the Looking Glass is just really frustrating. You know, I feel like there's a really great Shabazz Palaces track somewhere buried on this tune. I do like the heavy psychedelic vibes and the jazzy tendencies. Those are really great. This is so phoned in. Ishmael just gives up after 2 minutes. The remaining 5 minutes are textured and lush and have moments of intrigue. But compared to where this album started, I don't know how we ended up here. This for me is just another really frustrating album from Shabazz Palaces. There are really great tracks here. There's really great tendencies. These two are so talented. And you know what? The first half of this album is easily the most focused they've sounded in years. However, the second half of this album drops off in a gigantic nosedive with some of the most tedious hip-hop tracks I've heard all year. It's not like they have lost everything. They still have what makes them them. They just really need to focus more. I'm feeling a decent 6 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.